Good morning, Magic players. Welcome to the morning show where we discuss all things Magic. Get your questions fired up. Let's have a great discussion this morning. We also do Decklist review, so if you've got a 75 you'd like some feedback on, maybe a little spicy brew in your archives, bring it out, share it with us, and both myself and the community would love to give you some feedback on your deck list. So brew up your cups of coffee and let's brew up some Magic. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for May 6th. 2021. I am your host, Nikachu, the Merfolk Master. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chris. How many people we got? We got Inferior here in the house. Andreas. Good morning, Massimo, James, Scrub and Scrubs, MTG Ectoplasm, Steve, Barbell Boa, Zniex, Chiel, Toxic, D-Tie Gaming, Maelstrom MTG, Peter Young, Chase, Steven, Cody, Gold Medals, Mattiax, Mauricio, Yellow Chair, and Papa Joe, and And also Bird, Brian, Barry, and Leaf. Good morning, everyone. Was it Steven says, it made it to another MQI this time. It's standard, Lasai, time to dust the old mono red aggro. That's right. If you are a modern Pioneer Legacy player and you want to get some of that value from that latest standard tournament, boom, get involved with always the cheapest dirt cheap mono red deck that you can go get. How is the sound this morning, especially coming from my mouth? I've got a new microphone positioning. I got myself a new boom arm from Amazon. Thank God for Amazon. Amazon sending the content creator goods within very quick, short notice. And holy, it's so fluid. I didn't realize how stiff these things can get after like 4 years. This is great. I'm just wondering, this might be my new positioning because, like, in the past, the microphone arm was in the way of the chat. I couldn't read, and I had to, sort of wrestle around. But then because it broke, I had no choice to use it like that. But now it's pulled up to my face a little bit more. Morning, Marley. All right, so you know the drill, people. 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question helps me find your questions amongst all the comments. And let's start all of this off with... Who's going to start this morning off? Mauricio, do we have images from Modern Horizons 2 packaging stuff? I don't think we do. Do we have anything? I'm not sure. I don't think we do, though. If anyone has anything, let me know. Maybe we could look. I don't think we got anything. No, I don't think we've got anything. Look, this is from like one of the more official websites. Wizards.com, Modern Horizons 2, we have a dark deck box. Who knows what this could have on it? Could have a planeswalker, could have a creature, could have a spell. Could have a spell. Gotta wait and see. But the wait shouldn't be too long. Like Modern Horizons 2 is right around the corner. Like, what is it? I think I'm gonna predict on maybe by next week that we're gonna start seeing some spoilers. Maybe by Friday they're gonna make an announcement that the spoilers are gonna be coming out like this many days. Because like I said, like don't spoilers come out basically 1 month ahead of time before the set release? I think they have that. Packaging is on Japanese Amazon, huh? Amazon.jp. What's on Amazon JP? Hopefully they English still works here. I don't know how to spell Modern Horizons in Japanese, so I'm a little screwed. Oh, MH2 packaging on Reddit. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look this up. Unfortunately, I don't have that unless you can put I can't click links here. So MH2 _packaging. Okay, it's on my Discord. Where? I don't see it. Oh, you guys actually sent some stuff. Okay, hold on. I'm behind on the times here. This is news. We got some packaging here. We do have packaging. So what are we seeing? Oh, there is a merfolk here. That is a bit exciting. That is a bit exciting. There are product images on Reddit now. All right, stuff is coming out. So you hear that, Wizards? Before everything gets spoiled, you better start giving us the goods officially. That's basically what happens. Like someone like gives an actual spoiler, and then I bet like by tonight they'll have an official article about here's the packaging you can expect from Modern Horizons 2. Are there squirrels on here? Squirrels in Modern Horizons 2? Oh, this was what is this? What was on the Japanese packaging? Out of all the leaks so far, what card do you think will have the most impact? The most impact of all the leaks? I don't know. I gotta look over it again. Not Counterspell. That is definitely my prediction. So there is a merfolk on. I want to say it's that useless core card. What is it? What is the one? I think there's a merfolk with shadow core. Maybe it's not a core. No, it is a core. It's a core rogue. Oh, I'm thinking of something else. I thought this is this. Are you gonna blame me? Doesn't it look the same? It's got the same energy, you know what I mean? But it's not a merfolk. For some reason, I thought this thing was a merfolk. Anyway, okay, we got some packaging. What are these, planeswalkers? Who are these other people here? I don't recognize the ones on the left. Could be another merfolk that's unplayable in merfolk, though. It could be. You know what? We got excited for Emery, but Emery ended up not being of any use to us. There is an announcement on MTG Twitch at 14:30 Pacific time. Okay, interesting. Interesting stuff. All right, so we got a little bit of spoiler action here. The packaging has been revealed. What this means, I don't know. I can only hope that this is a merfolk for merfolk. Not for the other decks trying to shaft merfolk, because holy crap. Emery is an absolute abomination. Like, Emery is... How can I put it? Emery gives the opponent extra engineered explosives, extra Mishra's baubles. It's like it's very hard to grind out an Emery. It's just ridiculous. Stupid Emery. Is Isolate seeing too little play? Probably not. It's a very narrow card. That's about it. It's very narrow. I think it's seeing accurate amounts of play. I mean, maybe it could see more, but like the decks that are playing white, they have bigger fish to fry. Did you see a merfolk in a booster? Mauricio did. Well, I did not. Well, I have now. Rodrigo Sibin, what's your opinion about a new product, Modern Challenger deck? Fair lists, a few staples, and a good way to introduce people directly into Modern F&M without spending thousands of dollars. They had something like that. There was like there was the Modern Challenger decks, and they created tokens, which everyone said was a joke at the time. And truth be told, it was a joke. I mean, tokens not really a tier strategy in Modern, but it had a bunch of staples like Inquisition of Kozilek in them, and they did rise in value. They did go up in value, but the heart, I mean, I'm sure they could still do it. They can have like starter merfolk, starter prowess with a few like good staples that are expensive, and then the rest of it is just like really cheap commons and stuff. But they've done it before, so it's just a matter, are they going to bring it back? Did Chubby Meatball break the mic? No, it's not the mic that broke. It was the mic stand that broke, or the mic arm, and I broke it. D&D versus werewolves versus vampires. Which set are you more excited for? Maybe the D&D one, because that one, werewolves versus werewolves versus vampires, that's just going to be purely only for the vampire and werewolf people. But D&D has like a huge potential to be anything. Maelstrom MTG, it's been a while since I've been on, so I don't know if you've answered, but what's your house? I'm Silver Quill. I'm probably like, what's it called? Quandrix? The Simic one? I'm trying to weed through all of the... Good morning, Direwolf. Trying to weed through all the leak questions. Thin Blue Jeeping. If I run Unmoored Ego in my sideboard against Heliod Company, do I name Spike Feeder, Heliod, or it doesn't matter? Name Heliod, because that shuts the whole there's no more combos if you get rid of Heliod. That's it. Combo offline. If you name Spike Feeder, they can kill you with infinite damage with Walking Ballista. If you name Walking Ballista, they gain infinite life with Spike Feeder. So there's only one choice. You name Heliod. Or if Heliod's on the battlefield, name something else. Name something else. Left booster can be Corlash? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the lore. I have no idea what the hell's going on here. Is that the same Merfolk on Sea of Omens? The flavor text says it will return. No, the Sea of Omens Merfolk is Thassa, God of the Sea. What sort of card would be the best Merfolk if printed in Modern Horizons 2? A Mausoleum Wanderer, Champion of the Parish Merfolk. Get 2 really good cards combined to make a super Merfolk. That'd be fantastic if they gave us that. Papa Joe asks, how come some people are still salty about Luris, but not Emery? Emery is harder to build around, and Emery barely sees any play. Luris actually still sees us a good, sufficient chunk of play in like Hammer Time, Death Shadow, certain versions of Jund. So Luris still sees a lot of play. Emery sees no play right now. Dragomanus, is there a chance to make shapeshifters playable? They had the opportunity in Modern Horizons 1, and they didn't do a good enough job. They might be close because they've got that Morophon thing, but overall, the problem is it's a tribal deck. Shapeshifters are like basically a tribal deck. However, they have to be like a little underwhelming or clunky for the price, so that they aren't auto includes in all the other actual tribal decks. So they basically don't really do anything. What do you think about Artificer Intuition as a toolbox control card? Oh, we've discussed this card before. Discard an artifact card from your hand. Search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less. Reveal that card, then put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Today, this card is absolutely useless. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with it? Nothing. But one day, when there are sufficient 1-mana artifacts to dig for, and maybe even a combo based around it, this card will be great. This is a great card. It's just has no home in it. It has absolutely no home right now. There's just nothing you can search for. There's not enough. You remember, you got to fill your deck with a bunch of other artifacts that maybe are useless. So anyway, it's not that great right now. Who's your favorite matchup in Modern at the moment? You mean like what I like to play against, or like the best matchup that I can win? Best matchup I can win is Ponza. My favorite matchup to play against, though, usually Shadow. Maybe I can still say Shadow, but it's tougher now. They're just so proactive. That's stupid Luris. Stupid Luris. Makes things so difficult. Marisa asks, do you think running something like Unmoored Ego or Lost Legacy in the sideboard to counter the Gaia's Blessing tech is a good strategy for Mill? No. Or maybe it's okay. I was thinking, like, what is the big difference between this and Surgical Extraction? But if you get... Gaia's Blessing will still get the trigger when it gets hit. So yeah, Unmoored Ego is fine. And you're already in the blue and black colors. I don't know about Lost Legacy. Lost Legacy doesn't seem to matter. You're already in blue and black. Name it on. So that player shuffles their library, draws a card, each card exiled this way. There's graveyard, hand, library for any number of cards. Yeah, I mean, but either of them are fine, I guess. Vaughn asks, as a Merfolk Master, do you brew with the Merfolk build regularly? Do you think most deck masters should brew more or stick to one build? Well, you're only a deck master because you stick to the deck. So if you're playing a lot of different decks, I mean, you do have to adjust your deck, take chances, and, you know, see if you can make a better version of the deck that you're playing. But you're not much of a deck master if you keep flip-flopping from one archetype to another. However, I do think there's a lot of room to play more than one deck, maybe even up to 3. I think you can comfortably specialize in 2 archetypes. Beyond that, it starts getting difficult. Do I brew regularly? Yeah, I brew regularly for Merfolk. I don't brew other archetypes. Papa Joe asks, how high of a long-term win percentage do you need to have to be able to consider yourself a master of the archetype? At least a year. At least a year. I don't know how many like games we could consider that, but I would say at least a year. Because like I think over a year you've more or less stood the test of time. Like the format's changed at least 4 times, maybe more, given bannings and printings of new cards. And if you can still maintain a winning win percentage, then over a year's time with the archetype, and you have good results, like you have a pile of 5, even more than the pile of 5 zeros, and you got those top 8s, you're master. Peter Young, when could Emery enter the meta deck? On what meta terms is it bound to? I don't understand what do you mean? Emery is not like a meta card or anything like that. It is good artifact card, but no one's found the right artifact deck for it. I think probably it's underrated. There's probably some Urza deck out there that people are just sleeping on. Kurt Quake, what are your thoughts on banning the whole companion mechanic? I'd be fine with it. I'd be fine with it. It's not fair that some decks naturally get to absorb a companion for nothing, for free, and others can't. And you are put at quite a bit of a disadvantage because of that. The disadvantage to some of these companions is nothing, like Luris. Maelstrom MTG. I want another, and I think it is fine banning the mechanic, but you keep the creature. Like Luris is totally fine as a actual creature that you just throw in your deck. Maelstrom asks, I want another World Death effect, like Cordial Vampire from the Innistrad deck. Yeah, that's World Death. You mean like a trigger for all your creatures when it dies? It would be good for Cordial Vampire. Samuel, there's already a legacy combo around Artificer's Intuition. All right, but how do you port it to Modern? We don't have as many 1-drops. Honestly, I'm not familiar with this combo. Thomas Penny asks, in regards to Frank Carson's legendary article, how many lands to play, how strict do you adhere to the color percentages for sideboard cards? Do you take the effect or the ability to land on curve? Huh? I don't know what this means. Well, okay, I don't know exactly. You're not being precise enough with what you're asking me, but I think what you mean is like being on curve can matter a lot. So here's the deal. You can have how do I put it? If the spell costs 2 mana, it doesn't mean that you have to play the card on turn 2. It could be a turn 4 card. There are certain counter spells that are like that. Like when I play with Deprive and Merfolk, I don't have double blue. Let's get Deprive up here. I don't have double blue all the time by turn 2. I just don't. My mana base in Merfolk just doesn't allow it. I have like maybe 15, 14 blue sources. So I don't treat this as I don't treat this as a turn 2 spell. I treat it as a turn 4 spell, which can be fine against certain combo decks. Can be sometimes fine versus Tron if I'm interacting on another axis. It's totally fine versus Control because they're not trying to win early anyway. So sometimes I'll look at these cards and say this is a turn 4 spell, even though it's 2 mana, and I can have this in my sideboard, knowing I've built my mana base that I cannot cast this on turn 2. But now let's look at something like Rest in Peace. If I want this out on turn 2, 90% of the time, Frank Carson says you gotta have 14 sources of mana. And I would say you should probably have like 15, 16. If you have this in your sideboard, you don't want to play this on turn 3. You don't want to play this on turn 4. You need this on turn 2 all the time. If you are playing this card in your sideboard and you're maybe splashing white for it, you need to play this on turn 2. Because you don't have that time to wait to turn 3, turn 4 against the aggressive graveyard decks that you're bringing it in for. So, it depends on the archetype, and it depends what you put these things in the sideboard for. So, like, the point is, I am willing to not play on curve for certain cards because I know I don't need it by turn. I don't need it on curve, is what I'm saying. But I will have it in time. I will design my mana base to make sure that I can cast those cards on time versus the appropriate decks. I hope I answered that one correctly. It was a little messy. It was a little messy. It was a good answer. Okay, excellent. Where the hell did I leave off here? Is Jeskai Stoneblade playable in the modern metagame? Yes. Manuel Del Coco, have you checked last modern champions qualifier? Apparently in first there is an Orzhov Ephemerate. Do you think it is an evolution of the old Death and Taxes? We'll see if it can stand the test of time. If it does, maybe. Yeah, I saw that. It looks like Death and Taxes, but they're using Ephemerate. I'm a little skeptical that Ephemerate will be in the long run like a good card. It seems like from my outside perspective, it looks like Ephemerate is really good when nobody expects it. Like, if you're not expecting Ephemerate from your opponent, it is insane value. But if you know about it, because I don't know if any Ephemerate deck has stood the test of time. Like the Soul Herder deck has not stood the test of time. Aspiring Spike has messed around with Ephemerate, but has been eventually just going back to like more standardish builds of control. So it seems like Ephemerate really good if you have no idea it's coming. But probably not so good if you know it's coming, because you're just asking to be 2 for 1, you know? Ephemerate in response, kill the creature. All right, you got 2 for 1. Nice value there. So it has great upside, but also can come at quite a huge downside. Now, that being said, I would just say we got to wait to see if this build stands the test of time. That's all. I'm highly skeptical about Ephemerate as a card. Or I should say, I mean, it has the surprise value. So all the power to people who can take advantage of it, surprise the opponents. I mean, that's part of Magic, you know? You don't know everyone's deck at any given time. But, other people are going to try to replicate this, and who knows, maybe this will not be the final evolution because people will see those. I want to say it's like a trick. They'll see the trick coming. Jason asks, do cards that have spells you cast that target a creature cost 2 less to cast reduce the cost of mutate costs? Spells, that's a good, I don't know, to be honest. That's a question for a judge. Spells you cast that target a creature cost 2 less to cast. I want to say yes, but I don't know for sure. I want to say yes, but I'm not a level 2, level 3 judge, so we're gonna have to. I would suggest I just don't know. I just don't use. I know interactions that I use very often, or I see frequently. I don't see people use mutate very often, so I'm not familiar with the interactions. Jojo asks, what do you think about the position of Thassa's Oracle decks in this meta? Ad nauseum, Ad nauseum's banned. Blue Black Inverter and Jeskai Breach specifically. So Ad nauseum's banned. Inverter, I think it's a great card in that deck, but that deck has not seemed to be able to, I don't know, stand on its own 2 feet. Jeskai Breach also has problems. A lot of hate cards for the sideboard, and also Chalice of the Void shafts the deck hard. So the Thassa's Oracle is good in those decks. Those decks have not been able to compete with the metagame overall, though. Counterspell in Modern Horizons 2. Are we certain that it's getting printed? No, we don't know. We're still waiting. Still waiting on that counterspell. Don't disappoint me, Wizards. I just bought some counterspells. I got the I just bought foils of the Strixhaven one. I saw them in person. They are beautiful. They're actually really they have foiling is 10 out of 10. The foiling is great on these cards. They've gone back to, like, I don't know, the old formula of foiling. I don't know about the old foil. It's a very similar foiling, I would say, as the unstable lands, but it's great. It's great foiling. Like, the thing shines. It's beautiful. They have good stuff. Peter Young, on what meta terms can Emery the meta? You mean Emery be playable? I think the correct question is, in what metagame is Urza good? Because a metagame where Urza is going to be good is a metagame where Emery is going to be good. I think people need to experiment with this deck more, though. Because I don't really see it being so bad right now. Maybe it has problems against Heliod, but maybe not. I'm not too sure. I don't know what in what metagame will Emery be better. So I think Emery is very good right now. The problem is Urza apparently is not good enough. When I think it's actually good enough. Ton Toro says, how does your Theorycraft future modern ban list look like? I believe it will be Heliod and Dryad of the Elysian Grove. It's probably going to be Spike Feeder, and it might be Valakut. They might reban Valakut and keep Dryad of the Elysian Grove. They might get rid of Dryad. They might do. I'd be happy with that. I would be actually so much happier that they keep Valakut, knock off Dryad of the Elysian Grove, because Dryad makes Titan more consistent. But if they keep the Valakut deck in the metagame, I think I have a good matchup versus Titan Shift. And with Dryad of the Elysian Grove gone, they will definitely go back to Titan Shift, and I would love to take advantage of that. But I have a feeling they would ban Valakut. Mega Solic, isn't it better idea to unban Faithless Looting and ban Metamorphos? What the fuck is that? No, what is wrong with you people? Faithless Looting was an atrocity. An atrocity for a very long time. The metagame was so bad when Dredge and and Blue Red Phoenix were like taking over the metagame, along with Clark Clan Ironworks in the mix. It was such a bad metagame. It was awful. No, Faithless Looting is not a good idea to ever unban Faithless Looting. It is gone. Absolutely gone. What is this thing also? Isn't it better unban and ban Metamorphos? Dredge can be kept in check with side. No. The point is, this game should not be kept. The game should not be based around sideboard cards. You can't say, well, Dredge is fine, sideboard cards. The game should not be based around that. The game should be based around playing the game at least for game one. What is the point of Magic if you get annihilated game one? And then so much is riding on your sideboard for games 2 and 3. Like, it's completely pointless. You dissolve Magic into a game that's all about just preparing. I don't know. Whoever has the best sideboard for the tournament wins, and your matchup depends so much. You want to hope to get matchups where your sideboard lines up so well versus your opponent, and you're going to lose all the matchups where your sideboard doesn't. Defeats the purpose. Why play a Merfolk deck? I could play anything. I could play a Grizzly Bear deck. I'll just have, my rest in pieces in the sideboard to save my ass. That's basically what it comes down to. So what do it come down to? No. Careful Study I get this question a lot as well. Would Careful Study be a healthy replacement to Looting? No. Why? Because it's the front half that's busted. It's the 1 mana draw 2, discard 2. Which creates the turn 2 kills and the turn 3 kills. That's all this card would do. It says 1 mana, potentially kill your opponent turn 2, turn 3. And I'll put it out there for the Faithless Looting players. How about I make you an offer? You can have Faithless Looting back, but the mana cost is 1 red, 2 generic. And the flashback is 1 red, 2 generic. You can have the same card. But you don't want that, do you? You don't want that Faithless Looting, do you? Because it's fucking useless. Because you can't get your turn 2, turn 3 kills. You don't want that Faithless Looting, do you? No, because the only reason people want Faithless Looting back is you want to turn 2, turn 3 kill people. And that makes for an awful modern environment. It just makes it terrible. We have the turn 4 rule for a reason in modern. Modern should be a turn 4 format. That's why those cards are not getting... I don't know. I mean, Wizards could do anything. So maybe they could reprint Careful Study, but it would be a mistake. It would just be an absolute mistake. It'd be terrible. It would just be an absolute mistake. So there's nothing healthy about potentially giving your opponent turn 2, turn 3 kills. And I'll always propose, you want a Faithless Looting that's 3 mana up front and 3 mana in flashback? Because a lot of people made that argument, oh, Faithless Looting, it's only good because of the flashback. No, absolutely not. That is ridiculous nonsense. Have Faithless Looting, 3 mana. Flashback, 3 mana. Unplayable. Why? Because you need to be looting on turn 1. That's where the value was in the first place. Anyway, it's not the first time I've been asked this. I will make a big scene about it in the future if I'm asked again. Andrew asks, do you believe in the old adage that there's a difference between building your deck to top versus building your deck to win? I have no idea what this means. Building your deck to top versus building your deck to win. You mean like just building your deck to have a good place in the tournament, or building your deck to win the tournament? I don't actually understand. I've never heard of this. Never heard of this adage. Sure, there's something there. It sounds deep. I'm just not familiar with it. But if I were to take a guess at what this is supposed to mean, I would say there is like there's a lot of decks that you could just make day 2 of a GP in cash or whatever. But not every one of those decks will have really, really good chances of winning a tournament. Some decks that are really good at winning a tournament were things like Affinity and Dredge, for example. Because the tournament, that the event that people do not have the sideboard cards, you have such a damn high chance of winning that event because people are just not prepared for you, and you just cut through your opponents like butter. Whereas if you play something like Jund, you really need to be eking out advantages every single, like little dinky little amounts of advantages every single tournament. But like the EV can still end up being the same. Anyway, I hope that's somewhat answered the question. Yeah, here's a great... Yeah, Robert says, Faithless Looting at 3 mana is 100% playable. We have Seasoned Pyromancer. Well, that's not even Faithless Looting, though. That's like Ancestral Recall. It's Faithless Looting only if you have cards in your hand. It literally should have said draw... It probably should have still said draw 2, discard 2. Because when you have no cards in your hand, it's just draw 2 cards, have a body on the battlefield, and if it dies, you can like put a bunch of tokens on the battlefield. That's how I see it. Chris Ross asks, could you do a video on underrated cards and decks? I don't mind doing an underrated deck video, so I might do another one of those. The problem is there's not many underrated decks available at any given time. Underrated cards are harder to do, though, because there's sort of a lot of them. I don't know. I think they age pretty poorly. I mean, there's a lot of good cards out there, but I could still do another one on underrated decks because they literally exist in the metagame, and you know they're just waiting to be played. Speaking of judges, is it hard to become an MTG judge? As far as I'm concerned, no, it's not very hard. If you want to get to level 2, I think it might be difficult. That, you know, the exam is tough, but like overall, I don't think it's difficult. The difficult thing is devoting the time. You have to devote a lot of time to being a judge. I mean, you got to judge, but if you like doing it, it's totally fine. Oh, here we go. Maelstrom says, judge here, creature cost reduction reduces the cost of mutate. Excellent. Ray asks, will paper formats like Pioneer and Modern get a huge surge of new players post-pandemic? Paper Standard seems like it will have a rough time returning, considering buying into Paper Pioneer. I don't know if it will be a surge of new players. I think it'll be a surge of the old players, but I am expecting that if they put more effort into promoting Pioneer, it can be a gateway into Modern, and both formats can rise together. Because once you've spent like $300, because to some extent you're already spending like $200, $300 on Standard, and people are like, well, why am I wasting my money on this when I could spend $200, $300 on Pioneer? So you do that in Pioneer, and then they're like, they've been playing the format for a little while, and they're like, well, for maybe like an extra $300, I can upgrade this deck to Modern, and then boom, they got a Modern deck. Boom, they've got a Modern deck. Jojo, should you always play a companion if your deck is able to? For example, Giganta can be a companion in most Gift Storms lists, but nobody seems to use it. Same with Luris and Burn. No. So the deal is you might need that extra sideboard slot. I could say with Merfolk, Luris was pretty underwhelming for the most. Like, it's okay. Like, when I was playing with Simic Merfolk, it did come up that when I was playing Simic Merfolk, it wasn't so good. When I was playing Bant Merfolk, it was better. But it didn't come up very often where I got to put in my hand, put into play, and actually get value out of it, and I won. And if I cannot win with Luris, if it's not making the difference, then I should just have a random sideboard card, like a random different sideboard card in my sideboard. So it needs to make a difference, and I'm sure for the burn players, it's just not mattering at all. Oh, we got a super chat. Seafoam Shoreweeper. Thank you very so much for the super chat. What do you think tribes like goblins, vampires, elves need to be competitive in modern like humans, merfolk, and spirits? I went over this, actually. I have a video on Nikachu MTG about these tribal decks. What's it called? These tribal decks need something. Let me see if I can find it very quickly. These tribal decks need upgrades in Modern, so look that up. But for the most part, so they need some. Long story short, they need a good 1-drop to help contribute to turn 4 kills. Goblins, by the way, doesn't really need too much. They're like a really good combo deck as it is. They just need the metagame to change a little bit to help them. They need better. They might need better creatures, like creatures that have more than 1 toughness, because like a big deal right now is the gut shots, the lava darts, the walking ballistas, the plague engineers. There's a lot of hate for 1 toughness creatures. There's like basically no 1 toughness creatures in Modern, with the exception of, I don't know, like Flicker Wisp, for example. So they need some upgrades in that direction. They need better turn 4 kills, because if they can't win on by turn 4, then you need some degree of like turn 4 kills, because if you can't win by turn 4, then they'll just kill you in response, or they'll kill you faster. And they need proper interaction. Elves doesn't interact like at all. They're just gold fishing, so that sucks for them. Vampires has some interaction. I think Vampires is great, actually. I think the problem with Vampires is we have not discovered what the right 75 is that competes in today's metagame. I went 5-0 once with Vampires. I think it's a little bit disingenuous because like I basically Cavern of Souls and Aether Vial and random creatures beat 3 Uro decks. But the Vampire, there's something for Vampires has so many creatures, so many cards. I think there's something there, in my opinion. But go check out my video. I have like a deeper explanation about all this. Thanks for the question, though, and thanks for the super chat. Karnako, I'm 25 and getting into Magic for the first time. I've played other trading card games. What format would you recommend for my first deck? For your first deck? I want to say it's standard, because that would be the cheapest way to get into the format. It's not... Your money's just going to go to garbage eventually because the cards rotate, you know what I mean? I've played other trading card games. The alternative is you could jump right into Modern. Modern is the widest format with the most variety, like the most archetypes that are playable. Hopefully there's something there for you. The problem is you might not know what is meant for you, just given that you just started playing. So you might get a sense for that if you start playing Standard. Good question. I don't know what's the best format for someone who's just jumping in. Modern's not a bad choice, but it's very expensive. I would say, like, try to get a feel for this game, or Proxy. Raymond, what do you think of adding Time Sifter in an Eldrazi-tron Modern? Quite clunky and unnecessary. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, each player removes the top card of their library from the game. The player who removed the card with the highest converted mana cost takes an extra turn after this one. Holy shit. If 2 or more players' cards are tied for the highest cost, the tied players repeat this process until the tie is broken. This card's actually a bit serious. It's not good, because you could show a land and your opponent shows like any random 1-drop and this card just undermines you. Yeah, so you can't play it. You'd have to guarantee that your opponent has nothing. Octopi Walgreens. Been using Mana Traders to try a bunch of modern decks and have fallen in love with the 5-color Scape Shift Bring to Light deck. Is this a risky deck to buy into for getting into modern? I don't want to say it has no risk, because Valakut the Molten Pinnacle has been banned before, and there's some chance it could get banned again. So I can't say that there's no risk. That being said, if you do buy into this deck, you could always move into the Niv Mizzet deck. So if you love 5-color Scape Shift Bring to Light, maybe you'll still like 5-color Bring to Light, like Niv to Light. So like there isn't a huge financial risk, but the deck might potentially. I don't want to say this is a very high risk, because they could ban Dryad of the Elysian Groves instead. And there's nothing even to say that they were even going to ban either of these cards. But I don't want to say it's like, oh yeah, it's a lock, 100%. Nothing's going to happen to this deck, because something could happen to Valakut, and if it does, then it makes a big impact on the rest of the deck. But your cards will still be worth something, because Scape Shift might go to hell, because it had only one purpose, and that was to find Valakut. But you can always transform your Bring to Light deck into a Niv to Light deck. Okay. I think it's time, people. Do you know what time it is, though? It's deck list review time. All right, everyone. So if you want your deck list reviewed on this channel, show it off to the community. Go into my description. In the description, there is this gorgeous link to my Discord. Join the Discord. And then in the Discord, there is a channel called Deck List Review. Now there, you use the command, as you can see on screen, !review deck space, give the URL to your deck list. Press enter, and you'll be eligible at random for deck list review. You know what time it is? Adventure time? No, not quite. Not quite adventure time. And as people are submitting the deck list for deck list review, we're going to start off by thanking our sponsors, because we do have sponsors on this channel. FusionGamingOnline.com. Where did I get my foil Strixhaven Mystical Archive counter spells? I got them from FusionGamingOnline.com. You know what? Oh, they also have it. They have a deal of the week this week. Save 15% off old Time Spiral remastered cards, singles and sealed product. Hey, if you're looking for a deal on Chalice of the Void, this might be the time to go get them. Use FusionGamingOnline.com and do what I do. If anything, you got to use that discount code. You got to use the coupon code Nikachu. 5% off all your purchases, whatever you purchase, even if it already has a discount. You get an additional discount. How can you go wrong? We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. And this is basically the way that, hey, just like, who was it here? Who asked me about the, did I miss it? Oh, it's Octopi, just like Octopi here. How did Octopi find out that 5-color Bring to Light Shift was the deck for Octopi? It was only through Mana Traders. You can play test all the decks to find out which one is the right one for you. Or, not only that, if you just get tired of one deck day in and day out, you can play a different one every single day with Mana Traders. You can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 15% off your first 2 months using my coupon code Nikachu. Get that value in. Lock it in. Excellent. Is Fusion Gaming North America only? Nope. They ship worldwide. They'll ship everywhere. I don't know about Antarctica, so don't quote me on that one. But I think they're pretty good with everywhere else. They definitely ship to Europe. I saw people submit my list. That's hilarious. That's great. People love your budget decks. Maelstrom MTG, of course. The master on a budget. You can submit anything you want, Richard. It's all good. People have submitted kitchen tabletop decks. It's all fine with us. So long as it's not a draft deck and it's not a commander deck, I'm good with it. It's not the first time we've had like some super pony decks on here. Do you think Disrupting Shoal is a good, cheap alternative to Force and Negation? Not really, to be honest. It's like in some metagames it can be okay, but the problem is the cards in your hand need to perfectly line up with the converted mana cost of the cards of your opponents. I think the best, one of the better cheap alternatives to Force and Negation is just Spell Pierce. You know, this is not complicated or expensive. Oops. Let's pull Spell Pierce. I mean, this 28 cents. How can you go wrong? Does the same damn thing. Counters non-creature spells. A bit of a liability, like, unless they pay 2. It'll be okay. It's totally fine. There's a lot of situations, Spell Pierce is just better than Force Negation. Shadreen asks, what does a pony deck mean? Basically like a noob. Not necessarily a noob, but like, you know, pretty poor player. They'll look like brews, or they'll be like tier 4 decks. When will they have Modern Horizons 2 spoilers? I'm assuming by next week. They usually do it one month in advance, and the set releases on June 11th. So anyway, okay, let's take a look at some lists. We've got 32-ish, 33-ish. My command didn't work. Random. Inferior. Congratulations, Inferior. You're the next contestant on Decklist Review, and you're using my favorite website for Decklist Review, Moxfield. Love Moxfield. Utron, please read description. That most definitely was for me. I was like, you know what, Nikachu, don't even dare look at this deck until we look at the description. Well, where the hell is it? You asked me to look at the description. I see nothing. There is no description. Oh, is this a description? Bluetron on a budget could not afford the 4 chalices, but they will be there eventually. Sideboard I built to be a wish package. Okay. We've got Karn, the Great Creator. Probably we couldn't afford the 4th one. So we got Karn, Scion of Urza. Not a bad replacement. Not bad. We got an Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. This is not the most budget deck. You got some money. Those Ugins ain't cheap. You know? Wizards of the Coast, they designed Ugin to be money. That's a money. You got Gemstone Caverns too. That one actually crashed. Oh, it still didn't crash enough. It's still a little bit of money. That card used to be like $1 bazillion though. Oh man, I had a foil Gemstone Caverns. I should have sold it a long time ago. I knew it was getting reprinted. I'm a fool. Anyway, 2 Torrential Gear Hulk. Love it. I think Torrential Gear Hulk. It's a bit clunkier in Tron because you need the double blue. Do you have any way to like fix your blue mana? Not really. You have nothing? Oh, you have Talisman of Creativity. Talisman of Dominance. Okay, you have like a little bit. That's the double blue is a little bit difficult in these Tron decks because ideally you're just playing like, you know, Tron land, Tron land, Tron land. So when are you playing your blue, you know, your blue mana? There's gonna be actually hold on, spoilers might be today because apparently there's some sort of stream happening today, so maybe there will be some sort of spoiler thing. Anyway, so Gear Hulk, I like the card, and you know what? The more I talk about it, the less I like it. I know this is like the best Snapcaster mage on a budget, but it just sucks in Tron, in Blue Tron. Maybe it's not so bad. You have Teleria West. How many blue sources? We have Teleria West, 5 islands. Field of Ruin counts. Clearwater Pathway. It's tough. You got to recognize how often you've got that double blue. Walking Blister, Trinket Mage, Treasure Mage. Sure. What's the point of Treasure Mage? You search for an artifact card with converted mana cost 6 or greater. Oh, but it like, okay, you're on a budget. You're using it to find a Wormcoil engine. Whatever. Condescend, Cyclonic Rift, Dismember. This is like a semi-budget deck overall now that I'm looking at all this. Got 1 Chalice. Hey, 1 is better than 0. Do you have 1 Chalice on the sideboard? Damn. We do not. Expedition map. The 1 Chalice might be better off in the sideboard because you have Karn the Great Creator here. I don't know how good this Chalice is as a 1-of in the main deck. Oh yeah, there's also Mindslaver that you can get. I've never been really satisfied with Mindslaver though. Whatever, it's a Blue-Tron card. You people love to take control of your opponent's turns. Talisman of Creativity and Dominance. Sideboard, lands, pre-standard, Dismember, Engineer Explosives, Ensnaring Bridge, Liquid Metal Coating, Mindslaver, Metamorph. Relic, Spatial Contortion, 2 Cs, 1 Sundering Titan, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Tormod's Crypt, 1 Trinosphere. I think the deck looks pretty good. I think overall you got a good solid deck. If you can't cast this card easily, you might want to replace this with, I don't know, anything else. I'm not sure what. But if you can, then this is a totally good replacement. I just don't know how well this plays in the deck. I know that, a single blue, easy to get, double blue, harder. But actually, I mean, the deck looks pretty solid. For a budget deck, if you consider this budget, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Oh, Treasure Mage also finds Gear Hulk. That's true. This is an artifact. Maybe we should have more Treasure Mages then. The list is pretty tight. I'm liking Treasure Mage more and more that you people talk about it. Commit to Memory? It's okay. I mean, it works pretty well. The commit part is easy to cast. Each player shuffles his or her hand in graveyard into his or her library, then draws 7 cards. The memory one, not so good. Is Shark Typhoon? Yeah, I've seen Shark Typhoon get played in this list. Is it cheap though? Not cheap, not a budget card. Shark Typhoon is a bit of money. It'll cost ya. Did you save enough from the stimulus check for this one? What's my favorite counterspell art? Probably the one from Masks Block, but the Ikoria one is definitely competing. How's the Twitch channel called? The MTG? Oh, probably just Magic the Gathering, like the official Magic the Gathering Twitch channel. You can cast Memory with Gear Hulk. That's the catch. I don't know if you want to, though. Memory is beautiful with Narset on the board, but, Blue-Tron can't afford to play Narset. Does this Gear Hulk have enough things to flash back? We have Condescend, we have Cyclonic Rift, we have Dismember. Yeah, Remand, Repeal, I think it's okay. Spatial Contortion and Thirst for Knowledge. We got enough stuff. It's 15 cards. Well, Gear Hulk is a Nombo with the X spells. That's okay. I mean, there's not that many. Oh, is it a Nombo with Condescend? We cast target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be... Oh, I see. Okay, so there's actually not as many targets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. So we have even less spells. That's not a lot. Not gonna lie. That's not a lot. Maybe this is... Okay, so I'm gonna leave by saying this Gear Hulk might be a liability. It might be a liability. It's hard to cast and is a bit of a non-bow with the rest of the deck. You can live without a Snapcaster Mage. I think you can live without a Snapcaster Mage. It's not necessary. But anyway. Nice. Interesting list. I think you actually did pretty well on a budget. I mean, this is pretty impressive what you can put together on a budget. I think you still are going to have a really powerful deck with Karn the Great Creator. Thanks. So thank you very much for submitting it. Direwolf asks, do you think more things will be banned in Modern if we had paper magic? No. Yes and no. I think GPs help push cards to get banned faster. I think it's like once a deck has proven itself at a GP and there's like 4 copies of it in a top 8, that's when they start banning cards. Because and it's clear that cards need to be banned in a GP because the cream gets enough rounds in to rise to the top. After 15 rounds, the best decks will be at the top. And if a very specific deck is filling up the top 8, then that's a big deal. And then that shows Wizards, yeah, we got to deal with this thing. We got to deal with it now. Whereas online, we don't have such very large events that we can crystal clear see which decks are problematic. And then they're like, well, they'll just let Magic the Gathering Online play whatever they want. We don't care until it's a GP. Oops. How can I submit a deck? You go to my description, go to join my Discord, and in my Discord, go to the channel Decklist review, then use this command, ! Space, give the URL to your decklist, and you'll be put in a queue at random. Sorry, it's not a queue really, because I just choose you at random. Be chosen for Decklist review. Do this every day, so if you don't get chosen today, maybe tomorrow. We got Sax and Candy. Congratulations, Sax and Candy. You are the next contestant on Decklist review, and it looks like you got like a deck. Assuming Counterspell will get printed. That is interesting. Okay, so this is... Where's your description? I play Counterspell at my table, thanks to my friends being lenient on the format, but it can easily be replaced by Negate for modern play. Okay, so it looks like you're just playing kitchen tabletop Magic with your friends, which is how we all started, and you're like, you know what? I want to play with Counterspell. It looks like a card that should be in Modern. By the way, it might. In a few days, we might get confirmation that this card is a Modern legal card. Highly anticipated. Highly leaked as well, but not super confirmed. It feels like we're 95% there. Anyway, okay, let's look at this list. It looks like you got Modern Bounce Fairies, Spellstarter Sprite, Brazen Borrower, Click, Mistbind Clique. These are really nice. The Secret Lair. It's very colorful. Orvar, the old form. It's a shapeshifter for 4 mana. Changeling. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent. Interesting. When you cast an instant... Okay, you have a lot of instants and sorceries. If it targets one or more of your permanents you control, create a token? I have a feeling that this is going to be a little fancy. So we have Ancestral Vision, 1 Slaughter Pact, 3 Aphotic Wisps. Target creature becomes black and gains fear until end of turn. 2 Serum Visions, 2 Thoughtseize, 3 Counterspell, 1 Cyclonic Rift, 4 Snapback, 1 Sword of Feast and Famine, 1 Batterskull, 3 Bitter Blossom. You don't have many cards. Like, yeah, you could snap back your creature. You don't really have many cards to target your creatures. Over the span of 3 to 4 years, they have banned cards I used fairly for years. I'm so sad to say, but today I've made the decision to quit. No, don't quit Magic. If we don't even have any control in the format. Don't go. Stay. Okay, so... Okay, here's the deal. I think you should remove this card. I think this has no business in the deck. I don't think you bounce enough. I don't think you target your stuff enough. You have 3 Aphotic Wisps, and honestly, these would be better off as Thoughtseizes or Serum Visions or Ancestral Vision or Slaughter Pact or anything else. So I actually think you should just replace this with another creature and then replace this interaction. Because you just don't have... I guess you have this. You have some stuff. You've got some swords. It's just so little. It's just not enough. And no, actually you don't. Sword of Feast, it needs to be an instant or sorcery to get the copy. Cryptic Command, you can bounce your fairies, get the ETB again, and cast the fairies again. Yeah, but that's really clunky. And it's also asking yourself to get like 2 for 1. I mean, so honestly, I would remove the Orvar, the All Form, and the Aphoric Wisps, and just fill in the cracks. What's another fairy that we could replace this with? We could just have 2 more Brazen Borrowers, which are not bad. I don't know what. I mean, it was already a 4-mana a fairy, so we could have something that's clunky. Fairy Seer is like a pretty... I would say it's pretty crap. It's not good enough. Familiar's Ruse? I still don't love this card. I know it's a counter spell. We already have Spell Stutter Sprite. That's the problem with fairies, is they don't have many fairies. Hold on, what's in the sideboard? We have nothing? We could play with that other... What's that fairy that is searches your sideboard for cards? Fairy something. Delver of Secrets is not the worst thing. Ooh, I like that. I like Glenalendra. Oops. This is a good one. Where are you? Here it is. New art. Fooled me. This is a good one. This is a great one. There's also Fey Wishes, so that's what I was thinking, but now I want to go back on it. Oh, there's also Hypnotic Sprite. We got good ones. We have great fairies. Okay, so Glenalendra, great fairy. Costs a little bit of money, but great fairy. Flying 2/2, sacrifice it, counter target non-creature spell. But it comes back with a 1/1 counter, so you can counter 2 things at once. You can counter 2 spells, theoretically. I like this one, though. Hypnotic Sprite is fantastic. It's a 2/1 fairy for 2 mana. Or it can be a counter spell for 3 mana, counter target spell with converted mana cost 3 or less. And it goes on an adventure, so you counter something, and then you can cast it for 2 mana as a 2/1 creature. This is a very good suggestion. Then there's Fey of Wishes. I don't know how good this card will be, but it was like the only other... I know it was like a competitive fairy that came up into my mind, and it's pretty affordable. It's a 2 mana 1/4, which is not bad. But for 4 mana, you can choose a non-creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it, put it into your hand. So I think this is a pretty good one too. So I'm just saying that these are replacements for the Orvar, potential replacements for Orvar and your Aphoric Wisps. You can keep Sword of Feast and Famine and Batterskull. Like, these cards are still really fine to equip to any of these creatures. That's fine, but it's just that this synergy is just not... It's not going to happen. You just don't have nearly... I don't even want to suggest that you have a bunch of spells that target your creatures. I think Sign of Una is good if you've got a curve and you're more heavier on the creatures, but this one's heavier on spells. Why do we not play ninjas? Because it's a fairy deck. I mean, I don't mind ninjas, but still a fairy deck. Anyway, I think those are my suggestions, and you could just have, if you do choose to play with Fey of Wishes, just have some random cards in your sideboard, if you think that would help. I don't know what the rules are for your kitchen tabletop Magic. Also, hold on, do you have any other counterspell in here? No, you don't. Okay, so 3 counterspells, fine. Those are my suggestions. Good luck with them. Hope that was some useful feedback. Also, thanks to everyone for Coffee and MTG for telling me, reminding me all the fairies that exist. That's why I have you out all there. You submit your list to myself and the community will give back. So that's going to be it for today. As usual, if you want to find the replay to Coffee and MTG, you can find it at Nikachu MTG Streams, my alternate YouTube channel. If I didn't get to your comments, questions, or deck list, we do this Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. If you want to support Coffee and MTG and you're not already doing so, you could leave a sub at twitch.tv/NikachuMTG. You could become a patron at patreon.com, or you could join on YouTube. But lastly, thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. I appreciate everyone. We have 250 people here today. It was an amazing turnout today. All of you show up, and you're the reason that this show is the show that it is, because if you didn't show up, this would be a pretty crappy show. It would just be me here just talking to myself. It's because you guys have questions. A lot of people are also thinking themselves, that you make the show that what it is. So thank you very much for making me a part of your daily routine. So keep brewing up that coffee, and we'll keep brewing up magic as we do every single day. Take care, and I'll see you next time.